The Madlanga Commission sat again today in Pretoria. And the evidence that landed was as blunt as it gets. A former senior Hawks investigator, testifying under protection, told the inquiry that dockets linked to politically connected figures were routinely pulled from active investigators and reassigned or quietly shelved. He named specific cases stretching back to 2018, including matters involving tender fraud in KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape, where senior police officers allegedly received instructions to go slow. The Commission's evidence leader pressed him on how these instructions were delivered: phone calls, meetings at a Sandton hotel, or direct orders from a provincial commissioner. The witness stuck to his account without flinching. This sits squarely in the pattern the Commission has been building since it began hearing evidence in earnest earlier this year. Early sittings focused on the 2017 to 2020 period when the Political Killings Task Team was first stood up. Witnesses described how case files on hitmen were split across provinces so no single investigator could see the full picture. Today's testimony moved the timeline forward into the post-2022 phase, showing that the same habits of interference survived leadership changes at the top of the SAPS. The Commission is now tracing a clear line from the Zuma-era capture of investigative units through to current resistance against cleaning them up. What stood out today was the detail on how dockets were physically moved. The witness produced a spreadsheet he had kept on his personal laptop showing dates when files were logged out of the national database and never returned. One entry involved a multi-million rand municipal tender case that simply disappeared from the system for 14 months. When the Commission asked why he had not reported it at the time, he answered that 2 previous complainants inside the unit had been transferred to remote stations within weeks. That answer landed heavily. Commissioner Madlanga asked for the spreadsheet to be entered as an exhibit and indicated the inquiry would subpoena the relevant station commanders next week. The Commission is moving faster on document recovery than many expected. It has already secured several batches of old case dockets that were thought lost. Today's witness confirmed that some of those recovered files match the ones he described. This matters because it gives the inquiry hard records rather than just oral testimony. At the same time, the SAP's legal team tried to limit the scope of cross-examination, arguing that certain operational decisions remain classified. Madlanga overruled them on the spot, stating that the terms of reference cover any conduct that undermined investigations into serious crime. The exchange was short but sharp, and it signaled that the Commission is not prepared to accept blanket secrecy claims. Opinion on the ground in legal and policing circles is split but leaning one way. Some argue the Commission is finally forcing their SAPS to confront its own internal rot. Others worry it will produce another thick report that gathers dust once the cameras leave. Both views have weight. The evidence so far shows systemic problems that predate any single minister or commissioner. At the same time, the inquiry has already run longer than originally planned and still has dozens of witnesses to hear. Delays in securing documents and the occasional legal skirmish with state lawyers are eating time that the public cannot afford. What happened today strengthens the case that interference was not limited to a few rogue officers. It points to a culture where investigators who pursued sensitive cases were isolated or neutralized. The Commission's next phase will test whether current leadership is serious about reversing that culture or simply managing the optics. Until those answers come, the docket movements described today remain the clearest record of how cases were made to vanish.